Hi, thanks for watching. It's Lipstick Gal, and I wanted to do a video today that has kind of been on my mind for a while. And it's a full-faced get ready with me using products from one brand only, and they're Drugstore. So I don't think, my memory's not so good these days, but I don't think I've ever done a one brand get ready with me. I've done like a one brand review where I tell you but not showing you how the products go on, and I've never done it with Drugstore. So I'm really excited to do this, and this has been a product that I've been more and more intrigued by, and I'm really excited to do it for you today. So before we get started, thanks for watching. Thank you for being subscribed if you are. If you aren't, would you please? And let's jump right in. So I wanted to try a full face of Flower Beauty, and I know that I used this foundation in a previous video, kind of doing a half with this foundation and half with the other. I'll link that in the description box below if you're curious about it, how it stood up to another Drugstore foundation. But I've really been liking what I've seen from Flower Beauty. And so I went to my local Ulta, and I feel like between Ulta and Walmart, and the Walmart section has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller the more that Ulta has begun to carry things, but I still feel like I didn't find everything I wanted. I couldn't find a primer, they were sold out. I couldn't find a setting spray, they were sold out. But I found foundation, concealer, powder, blush, bronzer, shadow, liner, mascara, lipstick, multiple types, and highlight and all of that. So let's get going, and we'll talk a little bit as we go. I'm going to start with this Light Illusion foundation. I love that it has a pump. I love that it's in a glass bottle. And I know it's one of the more expensive foundations at the drugstore, but it feels super luxe, and it feels like it's worth more. I also wanted a Flower Beauty sponge. I couldn't find one. So I will be using another Drugstore sponge, a Real Technique sponge, and we're just going to plop this all over the face. So let me tell you what I like about this foundation. First of all, it gives a really nice glowy look. I do have some new lights, so let me know if I need to dial it down a little bit. But I think a lot of the shine you're seeing is from the foundation itself. I made sure to be really well hydrated with my skincare, and had some sunscreen on, but I didn't put on a primer because I didn't want to use anything that wasn't from Flower, except for the sponge and brushes. We'll do that. But I like this foundation. First of all, the pump is really nice. You can also, and this is a big deal, and I know that not all pumps do this, you can do a partial pump, and it doesn't feel like not enough or way too much. It's just like just the right amount. It also has a nice little kind of place for your finger to fit here, so it feels, it's not like a flat top. It has like a little space for your finger. I don't know, it's the little things. The packaging is heavy, it looks beautiful, and I feel like it gives, you can always build it up to get a little bit more coverage, but I like a light glowy look, just enough to hide some of the redness that I deal with, and I feel like that's really good for this. All right, so I'm gonna use the Light Illusion concealer. This is supposed to be a full coverage concealer. I don't know that it is. The other thing is I have the lightest shade in L12, but if you look at these side by side, you can see this one looks just a hair darker than this is L1, but this only comes in a combo 1-2, and it also leans a little bit more pink. So I'm gonna plop some of this on places that I want highlighted or concealed, and we'll blend it in. I'm gonna start, before it goes all into my sponge, maybe tap it out a little bit. And then we'll blend it with the sponge, so the sponge doesn't suck up all the product. Because this is where I think I need the most coverage. The one thing that I have found that I like is to not powder this too heavily. I decided to get a powder from Flower. This is their Miracle Glow Satin Finishing Powder. So they have one that's in this white packaging like this. It's kind of big and cumbersome. You get a little puff with it, which has just a little hint of powder, not a lot, because I basically use it to stop it up. But the container is much smaller than the box itself. So I usually just tip a little bit into the cap. It's probably too much. And I'll just use a smaller brush to kind of swipe some on the under eyes, corners of the nose, forehead, maybe a little bit on the cheeks, but we'll see. So one of the things that I really like, and if I'm going to use it today, I have to put it on before I powder my face anymore, but is this blush balm from Flower. It's super, super pretty. This is in the shade Pinched. And it's one of those, if you look at it, it's kind of a corally. It's one of the lightest shades they have. And when you kind of blend it in, it's just enough color, but not too much. And that's what I like about it. I might layer something else over the top, but I'm going to start with a little bit of this before I powder any more. I love the formula of this. I think the formula is really nice, and I like that you get a really small pointed applicator. Let me tell you what I don't like. I find this fault with a couple of the packaging items from Flower. It's the cap. And it's just that product gets stuck in there, and I'm one of those crazy people. I will take a Q-tip and clean it out because I cannot abide. It's like the OCD in me. I cannot abide stuff like this. But that I have to do that like once a week if I use it regularly, it makes me kind of go, ugh. So, and this is where I'm kind of like, when I can't see it, if the cap is not transparent, I never really look to see whether there's goop up in there. Isn't that silly? But I like it best when it's clear and you don't see blush on the inside. That kind of makes me go, ugh. But the formula is great. The dispenser is great. The way that it works is nice, and it does give you a very nice soft glow. It doesn't dry down matte. It leaves you a little glowy, and I think that if you're looking for a dewier look, this is a great way to go. But I also wanted to try, I might throw a little powder over this just to keep it from getting too tacky, because everything else I have to put on my face is powder based, and I don't want anything grabbing. So if you're going to wear it by itself, it looks really nice and it has a little bit of glow to it, but you can still see the blush, but you don't necessarily see the glow from it. I was looking, and they have a highlighter, blush, and bronzer trio. That's the only bronzer that I could find. And then they have this face palette. And so I decided, because this face palette looked like I would use it more often, because the color, they had the trio of blush, bronzer, highlight. I look like I had one of their highlights in that shade already and one of their powder blushes in that shade. I was like, maybe I'll go for this, and I'll be able to see how I like it. This really reminds me, even the packaging, it doesn't have a mirror, but it really reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a Palette. So if you look at this, oh, even the colors are kind of similar. All right, so here's the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a Palette, and here's this. It's not exactly the same. The way the pans are oriented in here, the sizes of the pans, it's very reminiscent. I want to use this bronzer today. When looking at this, what's pretty about this is that this bronzer has a little bit of a glow to it. I know Drew Barrymore and I are very similar in age. I just turned 44, like over the weekend, and I feel like she's in her like early to mid 40s, and we struggle with some of the same problems, wanting skin to look like skin, not wanting to be too matte, not wanting things to kind of crinkle up under our eyes, and for your skin to look like skin, you need it slightly on the glowy side. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this. We'll put a touch of bronzer on. Oh, maybe that was more than a touch. This is one of those items I just picked up last night because I realized I didn't have a bronzer, I didn't have a mascara, and I didn't have an eyeliner. So I went and picked a few things up from Ulta. You know what's interesting is that this shade of bronzer, although it's lovely, I think would work best for me, maybe not as bronzer, but more as blush. We'll see. So there are two blush shades in here. These are the two shades. You have one that's more peachy and one that's more pink, and that's what you find in this Instant Look in a Palette. I also have one of the flower pots. This one is in the shade Sweet Pea, and this one, I get the feeling, is going to be a little cooler and a little bit more dusty. Yeah, so this is Sweet Pea. These are the two blushes here. Let's just, while we're here, put Pinched in the mix as well. We've got Pinched here, the two from the palette, and then the single. And here's what's interesting is I really do enjoy, I've had the Sweet the Flower Pots blush for, oh, more than a year, maybe a year and a half, and I really like it. And then I saw these guys come out, and I'd been wanting to get it, and I was like, no, don't buy too much. And I saw a really great review about this, so I picked it up. And then last night I was looking for eyeshadows, and I got this. And I was like, okay, oh my goodness, look. So maybe this is not the best packaging because, oh man, really? I'm gonna have to re-glue that down. That's just disappointing. Oh, flower. I'd opened you twice. And now, I'm sad. Okay, I can fix that though. Let's see how the rest of it performs. The highlight in this palette is not quite as strobe-y. It's hard to see. Let's see if we can just build it up a little bit more. So it's right here. And it tends to be, you know, it has some sheen, more of a natural glow. My favorite highlight from them comes from the Shimmer and Strobe highlighting palette. So the brush in here, I got rid of, I didn't really like. But if you look at these guys, like these are like ridiculously shimmery and are more the champagne, the rose gold, and then that bronzy tone. They're just so much more glowy than this guy here. So I think I'm probably going to use the shimmer, and you know what? Let's start with this one. And if we need to up the glow, we will. You definitely can see it. But it's more of a natural, almost like a lit from within glow. I think I'm going to add a little bit of the Shimmer and Strobe. I love this palette so much. I think this is my favorite highlight that I've discovered from the drugstore. Oh yeah, look at the difference. And then, boop. I almost feel like sometimes if I don't buff it out a little bit, it's too much. That's a whole different shine. Let's do a little eyeshadow. So I'm just going to quickly swatch these three shades for you. So we have the gold here, this medium brown, and this richer brown. I'm just going to place this here, kind of in the socket. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that deeper brown, kind of focus it towards the outer edge here. And then we're just going to pick up some of the gold and throw that on the lid. I wonder if it would go on better with the finger. It does go on a little bit better. I feel like this gold color here, although nice, is not performing as well as the two matte shades. So here's what I'm going to do. This is not always as fun to watch. I don't know, maybe you'll want to see it and you'll be like, wait, don't do that. I do have this Flower Forever Wear eyeliner, and this shade is Brownstone. I think that's probably a nod to New York and all the brownstones there. I also have this Flower Draw the Line eyebrow pencil. So it has a spoolie on one end and a slightly larger pencil on the other. And the shade here is in Brunette. And then I do have the Warrior Mascara. This is one thing I haven't tried and I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to line my eyes, put my brows on, curl my lashes, and apply some mascara, and we'll be back to talk lips. All right, here we are. So brows, eyeliner, and mascara. So this is a new eyeliner for me. This is the Longwear eyeliner in the shade Brownstone. I used it on my tight line, so I just kind of took it up in here and kind of ran it across the upper rim. I like how it works. I also find that with one stroke, it just draws a really nice, really, really great little line. I think I'm gonna like this. And these are fairly reasonably priced. So this Draw the Line brow pencil, I think is nice. I like that it's not quite as, of course it's not as dark. It's also one of those, I do feel like it's a little bit soft. And I find that it's one of those that if you press too hard, you get a lot. But it's really easy to brush out with the spoolie. And I think it's got a nice spoolie. And I think that it's not my favorite drugstore brow product, but I can definitely see myself using it again. Not one of those like, oh. Now this mascara, this is, and I just only put it on the top. I normally do top and bottom. Here's what's interesting about this. It has one of those really spiky, short, bristled rubber wands. And the shape is kind of interesting as you look at it. As it starts to turn, it has a small curve to it, but it's also like much wider out here. The bristles go out a little bit farther. Let me see if I can get this to, there we go, to focus for you. With these shorter bristle wands, I know that the Clump Crusher has shorter ones from CoverGirl, the Supersizer. I find that when I get it too close to the base of my lashes, I poke myself and then I blink and then I get it down here. And I did, and all you need is like let it dry, then take a Q-tip and just kind of brush it away. So I already did that today. But I feel like it actually gives me really nice separated lashes without being too much. I like that. So down to lips. All I have left, and I have a few. So I do really like their lip liners. This is their Petal Pout lip liner. I have both cherry and toffee. I wanted a red and I wanted a neutral. Let me swatch these for you. Swatch. You know, a swatch of these lip liners. So we have cherry over here and then toffee here. They're really quite nice. I also really like these. These are the Hydrasilk Ultimate Lip Butters. This shade here is in Ruby Petal. It's more of a red, slightly sheer, very hydrating lip color. And the other one I have is Rose Petal. And this is the one I tend to reach for a little bit more. I do like these. I also have 3 of their lipsticks. Are they all mattes? Let's see. I have a cream and I have 2 mattes. Let's swatch the mattes first. So this is Poppy-Pout. This is the one I use the most. I love this shade. Look at that. It's a bad swatch, but it's a beautiful color. It's a gorgeous kind of orangey red. Another one that I have that's matte is called Hibis-Kiss, like the flower hibiscus. So this is the Poppy-Pout and this is the Hibis-Kiss. There is a slight more corally tone to the hibiscus. And then the other one that I have is not in a matte formula, but in a cream formula. And this one here is called Ruby Rouge. So it's much more red, but as you see it, it catches the light in a much different way than these two that are matte. So my favorite one, I'll tell you, is the Poppy-Pout. I use that one all the time, but I picked up something last night that I wanted to try and I hadn't. And these are the Mix and Matte Lip Duos. I have the shade Honey Nude. It's brand new, I haven't used it. So we've got a matte lipstick on one side and kind of a shimmering gloss on the other. Oh, look at this. This is the matte lipstick. Oh, that's beautiful. And let's swatch. Again, swatch. Let's swatch the gloss. Ooh. This is definitely much more of a metallic. Can you see that? So I wanted to wear this today. And I'm probably just going to skip lip liner and put it straight on. This really reminds me of those Tarte double-ended gloss and lipstick. But I don't know that their lipstick is a matte. Oh, that's very lovely. I like that. I don't know that this formula of lipstick is the same that you get in their regular tubes, but I do like the packaging of this a little bit better, more of this rose gold, because again, I don't usually have problems getting lipstick stuck up in here. We're back to that packaging issue that I have. Where is it? But if you look in this from the butter gloss, there are little, because I end up getting it right up around, I twist it up, And then when I twist it down, I have lipstick around the rim. And then if I don't put it on absolutely perfectly, it gets kind of stuck on the inside of that clear, and it kind of drives me nuts. So we're not going to focus on that. I've had the Buttershine lip glosses, I've had the lip liners, and these packaging for more than a year, and I love them. I think they're really, really nice. I really like the matte formula from Flower. It's not so matte that it's uncomfortable. This right here, this is the first of their mix and matte that I've tried, and the gloss doesn't feel really sticky. It feels hydrating, it feels smooth, and even though it has a bit of a metallic look to it, I don't feel like I feel grit on my lips. And this shade, by the way, is Honey Nude, and it is really a very flattering shade for my skin tone. I think they have 8 different shades of this. I was going to pick up one of their just regular glosses, but I have like 16 lip products in my project pan, one of which is this lip butter here. And I kind of feel if I'm really going to make any headway this year, I can't keep buying lipsticks. So I'm just going to be honest, there are very few things that I've tried here today that I was not really excited about. I was disappointed by the packaging fail from the palette. You can see the little magnets that hold this whole thing closed. I'm going to have to reattach this clear bit here to the rest. But in here, I really did like the blush, and I feel like the bronzer, this bronzer shade worked more as a blush on me, and the highlight gave a really beautiful lit from within, but I do like a little bit more of a glow. So I pulled out the Shimmer and Strobe. Now I know the price difference between this and the Charlotte Tilbury is it's a big stretch. This is in the $16 range, and the Charlotte Tilbury is $75. I feel like the shadows and the bronzer in the Instant Look in a palette are easier to use, even though this bronzer shade here looks more like a blush to me. The blushes are very pretty, and this highlight, so I really liked the matte eyeshadows a lot more. This metallic-y one here, it's okay. You can see it on the eye. I don't feel like it layered up well. There are some other metallics, like some of the golds from the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette, some of the Juvia's Place, like really soft, creamy, buttery metallics. I feel like even the Ace Beauty, their Grandiose palette, had some really beautiful, very buttery. But for $16, I think that I will get use out of this, but I don't know that I'll be able to use the bronzer as a bronzer, because on me it looks more blush-like. But that's because I'm quite fair. Overall, I really didn't, except for the packaging fail, I love everything else. I really like this mascara. There are a handful of drugstore mascaras that I really like, and I can see myself liking this one because right out of the tube it was a little bit drier. Overall, I think that it's a really beautiful line. I wish there was more diversity of shades when it comes to foundation, concealer, and powder and things like that. But I know that it's a smaller brand, and that maybe they haven't had the chance to start offering more than, and I'm not exactly sure how many shades they offer, but it is a limited number, or maybe only limited when I see it in store. But I wish they made a wider range of shade options so more people could use it. I feel like I just barely make the Light Illusion foundation work for me. It's a little dark, except for the fact that I normally wear a very light layer, and so you don't see the line of demarcation down through here. But maybe you can see, I feel like I'm a little bit more fair here in my neck than on my face. But overall, I think this is a beautiful line, and I continue to reach for this and reach for this and reach for this. I think it's a really beautiful product. So those are my thoughts. I really like Flower Beauty. I'm excited to see what they come out with next. And maybe because all of their primers and setting sprays and elixirs were not in stock, those are where the real hits are from. If you have any favorites from Flower Beauty, would you let me know in the comments down below? Thank you so much for watching and for being subscribed. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.